Well, our Seax is forged, and like I said in the previous video, I did the bevels off camera because it's just something I'm still working on. I'm not ready to try to teach that, and there's a lot of good videos out there for that. But anyways, if you also didn't catch what I said in that video of annealing, I want to just go over that real quick before we jump in prepping this for heat treat that you're going to see in this part of the tutorial. So, number one, anneal your steel after you forge it. Okay, this is something that I've been learning the hard way over the last years. Not really the hard way, but learning to improve my grain structure and overall finished product. Annealing is not that difficult. After you forge your steel, because when you get your billet of steel, it's already annealed. But as soon as you start forging it, and once you get your shape, you want to anneal your steel again and allow those structures and grain to relax, the grain structure. So, again, this is layman terms. This is just brass tacks doing this tutorial. But best thing to do if you don't have a temp stake or a really good pyrometer or thermocoupler or something like that, and you don't have a furnace, so you can't control the temperature of your steel, get this thing up to a bright orange. Don't get it to a yellow. And it also depends on the type of steel, so look that information up. But if you get it to an orange or a bright orange, and then you turn off your gas and you close up the doors of your forge, the gates of your forge, and you let this thing cool for about 6 hours, you're going to have your steel annealed, and it's a lot easier to work with, drilling holes and so forth. Because if you just set your steel into a vise or on an anvil or the ground or whatever, the coolest the temperature may start to harden your steel. Not like quench hardened, but it'll still be difficult to work with. With that being said, guys, we're going to move forward here, and I'm going to turn on the light here actually, so you guys can see what I'm talking about. We're going to start to prep this for heat treat, and I'm going to go step by step what you're going to see. Before I start blabbering on about how I'm doing this and how I recommend you do this and all that stuff, I want to let you know this knife right here that we're doing the tutorial on could be yours. I'm either going to do a raffle, a buy-in raffle of like 10 bucks or something like that for the subscribers on YouTube, and or if you're really interested, we can talk and I can get your email. And if it's between you and another person, maybe we can just do a bid war or something like that. But it's going to be a really cool piece. I have some ideas. And notice I don't have my forge, my maker's mark stamped in there. So I'm going to be practicing some new ways of finishing knives that you'll see on this tutorial. So here we go. Okay, so the next part here is getting this ready for heat treat. What you're going to see me doing, a little bit anyways, again, I'm not going to do 75 takes or clips. I'm going to clean off this forge scale with the 40 grit and then bring it up to about a 60. Once that's done and I have everything all cleaned off here, because forge scale is a lot harder than the steel, it's just brittle. And I do like doing forge scale knives, but for this one we're going to do it completely cleaned off. Once we get that all done, we're going to drill holes. We're going to go for 5-30 seconds, unless my bit's dead. And if that's the case, then we'll figure something else out, and we'll go from there. But that is what we're going to do here, and then we'll be heat treating later today for me, but in this next part of the tutorial. Okay, y'all, so real quick before we get on the grinder, I want to just take a minute, literally just 1 minute, just from right now, talk to you a little bit about safety. What you're going to see me wear in the video, in the very brief segments of this, is a respirator and a face guard and a leather apron. I have FR jeans on. That's just my choice of the level of safety that I choose to go to because I want to do this long term. I've already had so many instances in the almost 7+ years doing this that could have been very costly, not just for myself, but things around me and people around me. Starting with, I'll just tell you what's happened this month. Okay, I've had a hammer chip off and break as I was trying to break apart a test piece that flew into my stomach because I wasn't wearing a leather apron. And I've had a cutting disc on my angle grinder explode because of reverberation because I didn't have enough pressure where the steel should have been closer into the vise jaws versus sticking out. And luckily that didn't go really bad. But shield, respirator, something to protect your torso. One more additional piece of equipment for safety. Ears. These are noise canceling headphones. I can listen to music. It gets loud inside of a shop. Don't kill your ears. Let's now talk about what you're going to be seeing. This is a used 40 grit. The reason why I want it used is because I don't want it so sharp that it removes too much material fast but enough material where it has an aggressive grit that I can remove the forward skill relatively easy. When we start doing the flats, we'll put a fresh belt on. I have my water bucket right here. I'm going to do work and then cool it down. You're going to see, again, bits and pieces of this process. You're not going to see the whole thing. That would be forever, and I'm not going to do voiceover grinding steel for an hour. Got a 60 grit, fresh 60 grit belt on, and what I recommend is put some Dykem glue on there, and I mean it's going to pretty much scrape all off. But if you have super deep indentations in your steel, you'll see that you have some more smoothing out to do going from a 40 to a 60. Now we have that right there. Next up, drilling some holes, and this is pretty much ready for heat treat, which is going to be the next part. So I'm going to show you, if you didn't know this already, how you can mark holes and have pretty much center every single time. Okay, so for video purposes, we have a beautiful layer of Dykem there, and by the way, it's great for working with steel, and so is Sharpie's silver ones to be particular. So I have an area where my scales are going to start, and of course stop down here. And I'm going to be doing a 5/32 pen, probably 2 of them, and I'm thinking the first one should go probably below this line. Gives us about a ½ inch where the pens are going to be starting and stopping, and I'm just going to draw a small box like this. And all you do is you go from one end to the other. Okay, and there's your center for the most part. You can, edit that as you kind of go. I like to do kind of more of a cross, and I'm going to be, more or less in that area. Do the same thing down here. Well, let's actually think about where we want to put this. Yeah, no, I like that. I like that area. We're going to go right there. Don't overthink it. Just do it. If you mess up, acetone works great. And there you go. On to drilling. Okay, so a couple things. Get yourself a table vise for your drill press, and clear your stuff out of the way. Now, for safety purposes, mine's not locked down. Okay, so this isn't going to stop it from helicoptering. My biggest thing is I want to make sure it's flat right here, so I'll get under here and I'll look to make sure my steel is flat across. Then I line everything up to where I can have a stopping block right here if this thing does helicopter, and this thing has before, and it picks up about 20 pounds with no problem. Drill presses are really powerful machines. So this is a safety precaution, and I'll just kind of line myself up here and we'll get to go. 9/64 and then go to 5/32. The reason why is so I can start small. You can even start smaller if you wanted to, and then you work your way up. You're not going to burn as many bits as fast. You're going to be using a lot more bits, but instead of going for like a 1/8 or an 8mm hole, you start small and you build yourself up. Once you get to about a 1/4 inch, then you go up to what is it, a 15 something. You get the picture though. It'll save your bits from overheating. So let's drill. Alright, we got the holes drilled. This guy's off just a little bit, but I have more material I got to take away back here to narrow this down a little bit after heat treat. Now real quick, before we talk about the heat treating video that you're going to see after this one, once it's uploaded, if it hasn't already, because you're ahead in the future as this is being made now. But anyways, you do not see an edge or bevels when I was drilling holes, nor do you see a tip. Why do you think that is? Imagine if your little stop blocker there that I really suggest using becomes non-existent and it starts to helicopter. This will still break fingers and probably cut you very deep because the edges right here are sharp, but there's not a bevel and there's not a sharpened or close to edge to where it will cut off parts of you. Nor will it stick in you too deep because there is a blunt end. So think safety when you're drilling holes, especially with thicker material, because those are the ones that like to helicopter. And I know I've already said this, but yeah, I mean, look at that guy. It's an 8mm hole right there. Guess when it wanted to helicopter? When I was 2 drill bits behind that one, just took up and started spinning. So be safe. Anyways, heat treat. That's the next step, guys. So I'm going to say this as a disclosure. How I heat treat this blade is what has worked for me for this type of steel. And like I said at the beginning of this tutorial, this is 1095 for somebody that is beginning, or be it their first knife or their 10th knife. I do not recommend 1095 steel unless you have done a lot of practice pieces, like really practice and see if you can get consistency before you start with 1095. With that being said, I found a method that works for me. I don't have a furnace, so I can't be exact. One day I will get one, but for now I have a forge and I have had success. So with that being said, next part, heat treat this sucker. My name is Nathaniel Wenger. Born in Ohio, raised in Colorado. Being a bladesmith for 7 years, I can tell you, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here, but I'm chasing quality products for the end user and or for custom orders for my clients that make sense to what they're trying to use it for. In the time of bladesmithing, I've learned that 90% on the anvil means 90% less time on the grinder. Everything is hypothetical until sharpened and then sheathed. And if I truly want something unique in quality, handmade is the way to do it. Welcome, Colorado Custom Leather and Blades.